I was called a burden. The words still echo in my mind every time I look at myself in the mirror. Everyone I thought would stand by me, my family, my friends, even the people I trusted most, vanished the moment my health started to fail. And now, years later, I'm here, staring at the blinking line of my phone, trying to make sense of what just happened. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. My name is Emma. I'm 25. A few years ago, I was full of life, laughing with friends, planning trips, dreaming about a career in medical research. Then, the illness hit. It started small, fatigue, dizzy spells, but it grew fast. Soon, I was bedridden, dependent on others for the simplest things. And that's when the world turned away. Mom, Linda, 50, who used to tuck me in and soothe my fears, she stopped coming. Dad, he said it was too much to handle. My best friend, Sophie, vanished without explanation. Even Jake, my boyfriend at the time, left, saying I weren't the same person. Every goodbye was sharp and permanent, a constant reminder that I was a burden, someone disposable. I spent years in quiet isolation, surviving on the few friends I found online and the kindness of strangers. But I never stopped learning, never stopped dreaming. I discovered new ways to manage my illness, tinkering with rare immunology studies, applying treatments no one thought a patient could try on her own. It kept me alive. It kept my mind sharp. And then, the call came. The hospital, the very place where I'd been dismissed, forgotten, written off, called my name. "We need you," the voice on the other end said, calm but urgent. I froze. Could they really be serious? Could they want me? Me? To help them? My mind raced with disbelief, anger, and a spark of hope I hadn't felt in years. I stepped outside, the cold air hitting my face, heart pounding. I could see the hospital looming ahead, bright lights piercing the night. Everyone had watched me crumble. Everyone had abandoned me, and now they needed me. I took a deep breath, my hand hovering over the door handle. Everyone was watching. And then I realized I didn't know what I was walking into. I pushed open the hospital doors, and the sterile scent hit me instantly. Sharp, antiseptic, the smell of urgency and life hanging in the air. My legs trembled, not from weakness, but from the storm of emotions surging inside me. I was back, here, in the place where I had once been written off as weak, as incapable. And now, the same people who turned their backs on me were looking at me like I might hold the only solution to a disaster they couldn't handle. "Emma?" A calm, measured voice called. Dr. Martinez. He was 45, tall, stern, with eyes that seemed to weigh every word before he spoke. I remembered him vaguely from my earlier treatments, strict, unflinching, but fair. He motioned me into a small room, the hum of monitors in the background. "You're here," he said, almost like a question, almost like an accusation. "And I hope you're ready." I nodded, though my throat was dry. My heart pounded in a rhythm I didn't recognize, half fear, half anticipation. It was surreal to see the nurses and staff moving quickly, whispers passing between them, some glancing at me with disbelief. Nurse Kelly, 30, kind and empathetic, gave me a small, almost apologetic nod. Others, however, looked skeptical. I wasn't just walking into a hospital. I was walking into judgment, doubt, and hidden resentment. And yet, there was a strange energy in the air. Something urgent, something dangerous. I could sense it before anyone said a word. Monitors were beeping rapidly. Staff ran past, shouting orders. The emergency I had been called into wasn't hypothetical. It was real, and it was terrifying. I couldn't help but think back to the years I had spent alone, fighting my own body, perfecting techniques that no one believed I could. They called me fragile, weak, a burden. And now, in a twist I could barely process, that same knowledge, the things I had learned to survive, might be the very thing keeping people alive. Dr. Martinez leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "We need your help. And only you can do this." My stomach twisted. Only I? After all this time? After all they had said and done? Could I really step into a situation that had seemed impossible for everyone else and succeed? I took a deep breath, glancing toward the hallway where nurses were rushing, alarms blaring. The weight of the moment hit me fully. This wasn't just a test. This was life or death. The alarm blared through the hospital halls, a shrill warning that made my chest tighten. Patients were arriving at a rate I'd never seen before, some wheeled in on stretchers, others staggering, eyes wide with fear. A strange, fast-moving infection had broken out, something the staff hadn't anticipated, and somehow, I was the only person who had the knowledge to stop it. Dr. Martinez pulled me aside. "We tried everything," he said, voice tense. "Nothing's working. The standard treatments aren't enough. You might be our only option." I blinked. Me? After years of being told I couldn't do anything, after being abandoned, after being a burden, now they were trusting me to save them all? My mind raced as I remembered the experiments I had done in secret while bedridden. Rare immunology techniques, combinations of treatments no one believed a patient could try. Techniques I'd perfected alone, over years of trial and error. I swallowed hard and nodded. "Show me what's happening," I said. We rushed to the first ward. Monitors beeped erratically, and the smell of antiseptic mixed with tension. I saw patients pale, panicked. Nurses shouted orders. One of my old colleagues, Dr. Reynolds, 42, frowned at me. "Are you sure she can do this?" he whispered to a nurse. "She's fragile. We can't rely on her." I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to say something. Let them doubt me. I had spent years proving that survival wasn't about strength in their eyes. It was about knowledge, perseverance, and courage under pressure. I began implementing my method, instructing the nurses step by step. I felt the weight of every life in my hands. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the monitors stabilized. A few patients started responding. Relief flickered across the faces of the staff, but just as quickly, alarms shrieked again. Another ward, more critical patients. The stakes were climbing faster than I could process. And then, a nurse ran up, panic in her voice. "Emma, Sophie's here. She's critical." My heart stopped. Sophie, my best friend, the one person who had vanished without explanation years ago. And now she was in my hands, her life hanging on the very person she once ignored. I froze, torn between disbelief, fear, and the sudden realization. This wasn't just about proving myself. This was personal, and every second counted. I raced down the corridor, Sophie's chart clutched in my trembling hands. Every alarm, every shout, every frantic footstep echoed in my ears like a drumbeat of urgency. Patients were deteriorating faster than anyone could handle. The hospital, once a place of stability for me, was now chaos incarnate. And somehow, I was the calm in the eye of the storm. Sophie's room came into view. She was pale, barely conscious, hooked up to monitors that spiked and dipped like crashing waves. I knelt beside her bed, taking a deep breath. Years of being abandoned, years of fighting alone. This is why it mattered. This is why I survived. I explained the method I had perfected in isolation, step by step, guiding the nurses to administer the treatments. My hands shook, but my voice was steady. The tension in the room was unbearable, each second dragging like hours. Slowly, her vitals began to stabilize. I could see the flicker of hope return in the nurse's eyes, the disbelief on Dr. Reynolds' face, the quiet awe of those who had once doubted me. But it wasn't over. Not yet. The infection had spread to another ward. I was pulled from Sophie's side, racing again, giving instructions, monitoring patients. Dr. Martinez appeared beside me, eyes wide with both worry and admiration. "Emma, you're doing it. You're saving them." My chest tightened, not from pride, but from the emotional weight of the moment. Every person in this hospital had once overlooked me, dismissed me, or abandoned me. And now, every life I touched was proof that their judgment had been wrong. I wasn't a burden. I was the difference between life and death. Finally, after hours of relentless effort, the ward stabilized. Monitors leveled, alarms silenced, an exhausted staff slumped into chairs, shaking their heads in disbelief. And then, Dr. Martinez called everyone together in the main hall. The room fell silent as he spoke. "You doubted her. You ignored her. But she saved us all. Emma's method, her brilliance, kept this hospital alive." Every eye turned to me, some ashamed, some in awe. And then, in the back of the room, someone whispered my name. It was Sophie. Weak, pale, but smiling through her fear. You saved me." Tears welled in my eyes. I wanted to speak, to say everything I had felt for years, the anger, the loneliness, the abandonment. But all I could do was nod. I had proved, finally, that survival wasn't just about strength. It was about persistence, knowledge, and courage when no one believed in you. The room was silent, every eye fixed on me. I felt the weight of years of abandonment and doubt pressing down like a physical force. And yet, I realized something profound. I had survived. I had learned. And now, I was standing at the center of a hospital that had once dismissed me. The truth was undeniable. I wasn't a burden. I was the key. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. "Emma," he said, voice steady, "your method saved every critical patient today, including Sophie. Without you, this hospital wouldn't have survived the outbreak. The knowledge you developed while no one believed in you, that knowledge saved us all." The room shifted. Former colleagues who had whispered doubts now looked at me with awe. Dr. Reynolds, the same doctor who had questioned my ability, stepped closer. "I underestimated you," he admitted quietly. "We all did." Sophie reached for my hand, her eyes glistening. "I don't know how to thank you. I left you years ago. I was scared, confused. But you saved me. All of us." Emotion crashed over me in waves. Relief, validation, and even a quiet sense of justice. All the years of loneliness, all the nights I spent battling my own body, all the people who abandoned me, they hadn't broken me. They had unknowingly prepared me to be exactly who I needed to be in this moment. and the consequences rippled outward. Word spread beyond the hospital. Emma, the once fragile patient, became a recognized figure in medical research circles. Some relationships healed. My parents reached out, regret evident in their voices. Sophie and I rebuilt our friendship, stronger than before. Some people remained distant or critical, but it no longer mattered. I had proven my worth not through their validation, but through action. Legally, the hospital implemented my method formally for future outbreaks. Professionally, I was offered a position leading research teams. Personally, I found an inner strength I hadn't known existed, a confidence born not from approval, but from surviving every challenge they thought would break me. As I stepped outside the hospital that evening, the cold air brushing my face, I felt a profound sense of closure. The city lights reflected in my eyes, and for the first time in years, I smiled. Not at them, not for them, but for myself. I had walked in broken, but I walked out powerful, valued, and whole. I had been abandoned, dismissed, and underestimated. And yet, I had saved everyone. My story wasn't just survival. It was proof that resilience, knowledge, and courage can turn the tables in the most impossible circumstances.